all the international events and gatherings that we have right now, and if we look at the Expo as a brand, what does it stand for?
The brand Expo is display around important theme, you know, aiming the citizens in an innovative way, showing them in which way is the problem are going to affect them and what are the solutions. And in addition to that, you know, this is a display and a showcase for multiculturalism. It's a showcase to teach tolerance, that you know all the cultures have found ways of solving problems, and there is not probably a better way than the other. That you know we need to accept and to see and to share the views of the different countries. Then it's not only an inventory of what we can do, but also it's a vision of the future of what we should do.
What about this Expo, the Shanghai Expo? What does this one stand for?
First of all, it's an expo about better city, better life. That means, you know, the theme is so relevant that 60% of the human beings live in cities, and the problem of the fast and rapid urbanization process is something which affects very particularly developing countries. Then this expo stands, you know, to show, you know, first of all, the experience of the host country. China is having probably the fastest development in cities. Also stands for, you know, a sort of mutual knowledge of the world of China and China to the world. Is, you know, is a mutual influence. From on the one hand, the countries participating here, they are discovering a certain phase of China. Probably it's not the whole China, but it's a very representative part of China. And the Chinese visitors who are queuing for hours to see international pavilions, they are also discovering solutions for the urban life. They have seen that, you know, the other countries have found other ways, and I think more and more we are creating a sort of collective conscience, awareness that that we are facing the same problems referring to the urban life, and we have to find the same solutions. And I think this Expo stands for that. Apart from it, you know, this Expo is the largest ever, with the largest number of visitors in a developing country in a certain way, at least, you know, it's probably in the developed part of the developing country, but it's an Expo which takes into consideration different sensitivities. You know, the effort that the organizers have done to attract all the countries of the world. We have 189 countries here, and 22 of those countries didn't have diplomatic relations to China. That means, you know, a tremendous opening for China.
Many have argued that the Expo is a venue for public diplomacy and nation branding. What is your view on that?
Well, I think that this is really a venue for public diplomacy and nation branding, and I find that the two things are very, very important and necessary. But it's not only that, you know, this is also a venue to show innovation, but innovation which, you know, affects the citizens. An Expo, some people criticize Expos and say, look, the innovation scientists don't need to come to an Expo because there are other venues in which they can exchange that. But if we do an Expo for citizens, for scientists, that will be the biggest failure of the history. We do Expos for the citizens, and therefore public diplomacy, a respect of the cultures, tolerance, common efforts to solve the problems. These are the key words for Expos. And of course, nation branding is very important. Many nations in the world, they don't know how to brand themselves. You know, they are surprised. You know, every time we organize an Expo, some countries make a sort of opinion survey before the Expo in order to know what is the image that the host country have of them. And they're always devastated because it's old-fashioned. They don't recognize themselves in the image that the host country have of them. Therefore, they have to create, you know, they have to show their real image, or at least the image they would like to give.
Can you give us a preview of the Expos in the next two years, 2012, and also the Expo in Milan in 2015?
In 2012, in Korea, we have the oceans and the climate change. This is, an occasion to show to the public, how the conservation of oceans influence the climatic conditions, and to show, best practices in the conservation of ocean and coastal areas. 2015 Milan is feeding the planet. It's also one of the Millennium Goals. 2015 will be the year dedicated to feeding the world, to the nutrition and alimentation programs. After 2015, next year, 2011, we are going to receive candidatures for the two types of expos. For the specialized small-scale expo, we have already heard from Kazakhstan, from Canada, from Belgium, and probably we will receive other candidatures. The topics they are going to develop are very much linked to quality of life, but in the case of Kazakhstan, to energy. For 2020, we will receive the candidatures next year. And we have there probably Sao Paulo, Brazil, Bangkok, United Arab Emirates, probably a Russian city, but it is not so sure, and could be also Egypt. As you can see, expos are moving from the big countries of Asia, Europe, and Canada, and in the past the United States, to new emerging countries and to new regions. This is also very positive, because these emerging countries can use very well the expos for their urban and regional development, but also for the branding of their own country.